I've got life's tough questions for you.
Hey listeners, I'm the Australia Guy, and this is Life's Tough Questions, the show where we think about environmental snagging of privates at nudist colonies. Our first question asks us, would you rather be mugged by someone with a gun or be mugged by someone with a knife? Well, Reddit seems like a 50-50 split here, with our first comment coming from I Hunger for Flesh, who says, if I'm mugged by someone with a knife, I can run away. Less so if they have a gun. Which is true if you're in a situation where you can run away. But it really depends on kind of like what mode your mind is in when you're actually in that situation. You might be frozen on the spot, unable to move. Or you may be backed into a dead end, unable to run away too. So that's always a possibility. Which brings an interesting viewpoint that multiple people have here, such as Meme Man and Castle Storms 1, who both think that disarming a knife is not too difficult. Now, I've only done basic self-defense, and I would never want to take my chances disarming someone that had like a knife or a gun. I would just take the mugging and let them take what they want, and if they wanted to assault me or whatever, attempting just don't even attempt to remove this kind of knife or gun from them. Just let them do what they do, let them go on their way. You guys that say you disarm them, you're either really confident in your abilities, or maybe you just watch too many action movies. Now, Ashley13579 thinks the gun would be better because it's a quicker death. And although a mugging doesn't have to end in death, it doesn't actually say the mugging ends in death, so it seems like a bit of a weird point to make that you could die easily and that's why you'd pick the gun. Whereas PM Eternal Nudes thinks the other way. He thinks that a gun wound is less serious than a knife wound. And surprisingly, in many cases this actually is true. Knife wounds can be found more fatal than a simple gunshot wound. Now, I personally think someone with a knife is more prone to actually use it. In my eyes, a gun is for intimidation. A person with a gun feels invincible, whereas a person with a knife is probably more likely to feel desperate. And again, in my own opinion, I feel a gun is less likely to be shot than a knife is likely to be swung, either in aggression or panic. So I think I'd take my chances with the gun. I think, again, I think that probably won't use it. And they'd probably have some distance between myself and them too, so it's less likely that they might assault me, because generally people don't hold guns point blank on someone when they're going to rob them. There'll be a little bit of a gap between them, so the likelihood of them actually assaulting me might be less too. Although, that being said, Just Eternal says that he would pick the gun because he wants to die. Oh my. Well, how about you viewers? What would you choose? Comment below. Okay, so our next question is, would you rather live in an environment that was always hot, or live in an environment that was always cold? Now, it seems our Facebook users like the hot versus our Reddit users who like the cold more. And myself personally, I choose the cold. You see, I come from a country that is really dry and really hot, with weather in the 40 degrees Celsius. And I've spent a bit of time abroad living in countries where the weather was down to minus 30 degrees Celsius. So, I have experienced the extreme of both sides of the coin, and I have to say, that although I love most things associated with hot weather, I just can't stand being too hot. I get really depressed and sluggish, so much so that it just bothers me. It bothers me to a point of just, I hate it. And at least in the cold, you can rug up and put on more layers and keep warm. But there's only so many layers you can remove until you're just naked in the hot weather. However, that being said, I experienced only recently my first fall on icy pavement. Now, videos and movies don't really show you just how painful it actually is. It isn't just a slip over and it's all good, play the laugh track. No, it hurts so much. And I was actually rolling around the ground for 2 minutes in complete pain and almost paralyzed from it. And yeah, it just sucked. But I suppose though, when I think about it, the counter would be kind of like the branding you get from the hot metal bit of a seatbelt in a car on these boiling hot days. Those of you that live in hot environments know exactly what I'm talking about. They both suck. Both these examples suck, and they both linger way, way longer than they should after the initial accident. Also, I guess, you may find this a bit cheesy. But I feel that there's something romantic to me about the whole being in the cold, cuddling for warmth, holding someone in a warm embrace, helping each other hand in hand balance over black ice, hot chocolates or coffee in a warm cafe while it's snowing outside. Yes, I know, I'm so cliche and it is cheesy, but it's something that I find it's romantic. And when you think about, well, at least for me, when I think about hot weather activities, it's more family or friend oriented, like doing stuff with family and friends, and not so much the romantic side of things, at least in my opinion. And as far as things like food and that goes, I don't mind paying extra money for foods that don't grow in colder environments. Having to pay for things that are imported and whatnot, I'm okay with that, just paying a little bit extra money. I'm sure there's also some counterpoints of food that grows better in colder weather, but honestly, I can't think of anything at the moment, and the previous reasons that I gave for my choice are enough to pick the cold over the hot. But what about you guys? Do you prefer cold? Do you prefer hot? Have you fallen over in the black ice before? Let us know below. Okay, so our next would you rather question. Would you rather have all traffic lights that you approach be green, or never have to wait in line again? And over on both Reddit and Facebook, it seems like another 50-50 split. But surprise, surprise, no comments. Ugh. So, let's listen to my viewpoint on this, shall we? Now, I'm going to say, I'm going to toot my own horn here, but I usually arrive, early to things. Saying I arrive early would be an understatement when it comes to my arrival times. If I start at work at 7 a.m, I'm there at 6. If I'm meeting you at 10, I would have already been there, scoped out the place, found the nearest toilet, things like that, since 8:30. So things like traffic lights, they don't really stress me out because I'm not usually running late. So I expect stopping at lights and I don't mind that. Whereas once I get to the location and after waiting around for others to arrive, then the waiting in line bothers me. See, I can control myself arriving early to beat queues, but I have no control over my friends or people I am meeting and their arrival time. So, watching the line grow and grow as I wait for other people to arrive before I can actually line up, it's painful for me. Now, also thinking about queues, I don't mean at places just like ticket booths. There are other things such as like lining up during grocery shopping during their peak shopping hours, or even things like boarding a plane and just as soon as the boarding times have started, just going up whenever you like and not having to wait. It's a great idea. When you think about it, there are lots of opportunities to avoid waiting in a line, but traffic lights really only affect you while you're driving. So unless you do something like driving for a living, which again, you're getting paid to do so it doesn't really change much, does it? But being early or not shouldn't really be a factor then. So unless you're getting paid based on like tips for being early, or you were there on advanced time, so therefore you get a bonus, then it really doesn't matter, does it? Also, this may be stretching it a little bit here, but things like waiting on the phone, technically it's waiting in a line too, so no more phone queues in waiting? Again, maybe pushing the wording of the question here a little bit, but even without that, I'm going to go with no more waiting in lines. How about you guys? What would you pick? Do you hate waiting in lines? Let us know below. Okay, so last week's poll asked us, would you rather live in a nudist colony for a year or live in an Amish colony for a year? Now, there were few votes here over on Facebook for this one. It was just a couple of votes. However, we do have a comment here from Libby saying that being nude would expose you to all of the weather with no protection. Which, if we head over to Reddit, we find a similar comment from Hard-Boiled Bet, who says, climate is a big factor here. If drone-sized mosquitoes live on our compound, an Amish person covered head to toe with linen is way better protected than a person that is butt-ass naked. And that being said, with only the comments between Facebook and Reddit, just these two comments, there is actually twice as many people wanting to be in the nudist colony as the Amish colony. Which I'm in the majority in this one for once. Hooray! For once, I wasn't the only person voting on one thing by myself. Now, I don't mind being nude. Being naked comes somewhat naturally for me. See, I'll enjoy being stark as getting something from the kitchen in my own home, sleeping nude, or even just wearing a towel wherever possible. Although, frying something with oil sometimes requires a bit more clothing to avoid nasty burns on more than just the arms. Now, being comfortable with nudity aside, looking at general views and rules of nudist colonies, I can probably wear some clothing in my own home and rug up during the colder times. But you know what? Let's throw that out the window and pretend that it was naked 24/7. The rules of living in an Amish colony are usually more extremely strict than that of a nudist colony. I mean, certain beliefs, lifestyle, and objects are banned from use or even ownership. So most people struggle to make a day without looking at their phone these days. I mean, you tell someone, don't touch your phone or don't look at it, and watch them struggle. Now, good luck in an Amish community where phones are completely shunned. You wouldn't last a month, maybe not even a week, let alone the full year without using it. Even things like the knowledge of having better technology and not being able to use it, it would just frustrate me. Something as simple as like having to push around a manual lawn cutter instead of just using a petrol lawnmower. It would just, tasks would be harder for no reason, and that would probably break me. I would ask so many, why this? Why that? Why wouldn't you just do this? And I'd be always trying to think of better ways instead of just accepting the ways that they have. It'd be like on movies and that, where you see like colonies and that run by magic versus colonies run by like technology or steam or coal power. and them not being able to accept each other's ways. I would be one of those people that would be bridging the gap, like, why can't we take the other way? There's easier ways to live and easier ways to do this, and yeah, the society would hate me for it. I couldn't be doing this. Like, I couldn't be doing this lifestyle that I have. Things like this channel. I couldn't be doing it without the internet or my computer banned. So things like that would absolutely suck too. Yep, you know what? Give me some naked tennis and swimming any day over restrictions like that. I mean, what about you guys? Ever been naked in public before? Or have you been part of an Amish community? Let me know below. Anyway, alright, so we'll get on to next week's question, which asks us, would you rather be able to speak any human language fluently, or be able to perfectly communicate with animals? What will you choose? Leave your answers near the comment section here, or head over to the Facebook group and comment and place your vote, and we will see who's in the majority next episode. Reminder, we've got the Reddit page, so if you don't want to post on Facebook and would rather be anonymous, then head over to the Reddit page at r/life's tough questions. So if you're keen to post and possibly see your answers pop up, then like, comment, and subscribe, and get posting and replying with more of life's tough questions. I'm Australia Guy, and I don't have a clever sign-off.
Would you rather stay inside for all your life, or fly around the air 100 miles as a knife? I wonder what it is that you would do. That's why I've got life's tough questions for you.